I just love video game fun facts. Nothing fills me with quite as much glee as when someone at, let's just say, a party, happens to offhandedly mention a game I'm interested in and I can drop some knowledge bombs. The only cherry that can top this cake is if it's a fact I've recalled from my years as a gamer, and not just watching Did You Know gaming videos or skimming Wikipedia articles. One of my favourite games growing up, since I was a young lass, has been the Tekken series of games. Helmed by my good fellow Saichi Ishii, these thrilling games of octane 3D action never fail to fill me with glee. However, that's not as much glee as when someone at, let's just say, a Tekken tournament happens to offhandedly mention a game I'm interested in and I can drop some knowledge bombs. Thankfully, I know just the way to make up the difference. Today, we're going to count down the top 10 Tekken facts I remember from my childhood.
10.
Bob's weight is one of his defining character traits, alongside being a member of Vanguardia Shiakana. How could anyone forget the scene where Slim Bob, on the verge of losing all sense of self, was saved by his GA coach, who, in a desperate need of lads upwards of 120, 130, 140, 150, 160 kg. However, there's a dark truth to his weight gain. It's said that he originally gained his weight so that criminals, no longer mistaking him for Ken Masters, would be less willing to engage in fireball wars with Bob. How funny. How easily fooled some fellows are.
9.
Coming in at number 9 is a common misconception among fans. A common misconception among fans is that Jinpachi Mishima created the Zaibatsu to make more money for the betterment of mankind. However, it was, in reality, Evan Headley who created the Mishima Zaibatsu as a gig on the side from his apprenticeship at Ian Rodarin when outside work at the bogey shop. It is unknown if there is a deeper reason for Evan Headley to do this, but if the father of psychoanalysis Sigmund Freud is to be believed, then there is not. Either way, for being such a widespread misunderstanding I can cut through, this fact earns that number 9 spot.
8.
Lei Wulong needs no introduction. Having appeared in most of the series, fans have had a long time to get used to his fun character and deep gameplay. Born in Hong Kong, his story has fascinated players for a long time. However, I happen to remember a little tidbit about Lei Wulong. In his introduction in Tekken 2, he managed to have a sidestep built into his idle animation, in a game with no sidestepping. In essence, it works by the same principle by which Yoshi's Gami Grab will occasionally miss in Melee. However, here it works to Lei Wulong's advantage. His idle animation is so animated that his hurt box will pass into the background, and were an attack going to land as this is happening, it will whiff instead. Talk about getting jiggy with it! It is unknown whether this inspired sidestepping in later entries, but I like to think that it did. Smooth moves, Lo Wang!
7.
This fact really hits home for me in more ways than one. Did you know? Famous fighting game player Justin Wong is known for his various moments across the years. Lines like, "We just got a real game," "Welcome to the real world," and "Let's go Daigo" are ingrained into mine and many others' brains. What you may not know, however, is that Justin Wong once attended an Irish tournament, Day of Champions 2007, to play Tekken 6. He played Feng Wei, and let's just say, a young Spree's Cree missed a few parries that day. Wouldn't you know it, that's actually the day I got into Tekken. How time flies. For being such a core memory, one I never could forget, it cements itself into the number 7 spot.
6.
Okay, so this one is going to need a bit of an explanation. Once upon a time, and a very good time it was, I was born on March 22nd, 2005 to Mammy Spree and Daddy Spree, but I'll call them MS and LS for short. I happen to be born with this mysterious birthmark on my arm. It looks a bit like a Rorschach test, and many people seem to think it's a tattoo. Anyways, we lived together with my brother in the proud and beautiful country of Ireland, All was well, and like most kids, I attended school. Now, unlike most kids, I, A, entered school a year before most of my peers, and B, attended a Gael school. That's an Irish language school for those not in the know. I was okay at school, not great, but not bad, and I made lots of friends. One day, however, as I was showing people my birthmark, I said to the group of people looking at me, "Here, fellows, look at my awesome birthmark. Sure, guess what I name it?" And one fellow spaked out, "I bet it's Kiki." But then another fellow spaked out loud, "Nuh-uh, on my life she named it Boba." And these fine fellows became fighting fellows in the flink of an eye. Phooey! When they were fighting, the crowd went wild. I had never seen such a sight before. They exchanged blows in a manner I can only describe as 50-50. I couldn't help but notice that one of them, we'll call they-them Joe, managed to hit a perfect Korean backdash from my favorite fighting game Tekken, dodging an oncoming attack and countering for a flawless neutral punish. A Korean backdash is a method common to Tekken games that lets you backdash multiple times in a row extremely quickly. In Tekken, you can cancel the recovery of a backdash with pretty much anything. Korean backdashing cleverly uses down back to cancel a backdash in progress and immediately count as the first back input for your next backdash. After backdashing once, repeat in rapid succession to continually cancel your backdash into crouch, and then start a new backdash as fast as possible. The execution takes a fair bit of practice to get used to, but the fast movement it allows for is very powerful, and it's often seen as a benchmark skill to transition into higher level Tekken play. As a matter of fact, my tattoo was actually named Kazuya Mishima.
Iver Akuik.
This one is going to take another bit of explanation. I hope you, viewer, can find it in your heart to forgive you. Anyways, when I was a young lass, around 10 I want to say, I didn't make a lot of friends in school. I was just too focused on my hobbies. And then I found YouTube. One of my favorite YouTubers was Justin Wong. His humorous fighting game clips always brightened my day when I would come home having talked with no fellows. So many of his famous moments were ingrained into my brain, and vocabulary like, "We just got a real game," "Welcome to the real world," and "Let's go Daigo," and I would repeat them at school to try and make friends, to no avail. Yeah, I was quite the scamp. When it came to Tekken 4th and Jaewong, I was the champ. With no friends, however, I went on no adventures. The fun would end before it even began. Then one day I went to school. MS packed my lunch. I had veggies, they are green and yuck yuck yuck. Then I sat down. That day was a test. The question was, whose Chun-Li should be renamed Chudley for getting parried? I got the question right because my taste is the best. Then I met Nathan Hughes, because he was there. He had the same taste as me, but he had red and spiky hair. Boom, we became friends. He was so smart. I got to see his treehouse and everything. All was well. The world was healing. For that day, it was the day I made my first real friend. Our friendship came to a head during the school nativity. However, we were cast as Father Ted and Father Jack. And while I came in, ready to play this Ted fellow the best I could, Nathan Hughes came in a mysterious new character who I immediately recognized. Nathan Hughes instead came as niche character Heihachi Mishima. He proceeded to throw baby Jesus, played by some fellow, let's just call him Jesus, threw baby Jesus off of the local Kildare cliff. I could only watch on in horror as I scrum. "No! What? No! Stop that! Stop that now!" From that day, we were no longer friends.
Full.
Eventually, your girl went on to enroll in secondary school. Like most kids, I attended secondary school. Like most kids, it was English speaking, but god fuck, I wish it wasn't. Secondary school is not for the faint of heart, however, and I hated that infernal, dastardly place. For a few years, I continued to have no friends. Aw, never going out. The only time people talked to me was if it had to do with my birthmark, which I hid all the time then-a-days. I also stopped watching Jaewong around this time, for some reason. Around third year, however, I began to talk with some more people and make some more friends, revealing my Tekken love to the people around me. I met friends who would be friends for life, and eventually, I got to know some fellows from outside school as well. Then the virus arrived. Truth be told, as unfortunate as it was, COVID-19 could only hold me back so much. It was around then that I started joining fighting game tournaments, albeit not my true passion Tekken, but rather Smash Ultimate. I played that blue and blonde dynamite gal Samus, in case you were wondering. It was through Smash Bros that I would make many of my friends outside of my hometown. At this time as well, I went to college in Dublin to study English. I tried to make it in accommodation, but after the first year, I took to commuting to school instead. It wasn't always great, but I made it out unscathed. Once I finished my course, however, I was somewhat at a loss at what to do with life. I had my friends, a degree that would get me no jobs, and how could I forget my favourite childhood game? Wait, what game? Probably just Smash Bros. Either way, I had the desire to get away from my hometown once again, and I eventually settled on taking a master's course in Carrick, where I would proceed to eat vaginas sophisticatedly with a knife and fork. During my stay at Cork, I ended up meeting new people and playing new games, including one I had only heard whispers of before, Tekken. It was a strange and magical game with characters I didn't know. I was hooked. I decided to pick up the latest entry, Tekken 8, and I loved it. Eventually, a big-name fighting tournament, let's just call it Jesus, rolled into town, and I entered its Tekken bracket. I even had a good friend from my hometown come down to play the game with me. And wouldn't you know it, I got top 8. Yay! Frogs then proceeded to rain down from the sky outside the venue, and there were some white horses waiting outside for me and my friends, and an evil, rotten man was being carried away by a stork. You may not believe this part, but they did happen. And that's pretty much where you see me today. There's been a lot of ups and downs, so I've enjoyed looking back on it all. Thank you so much for watching my Draw My Life, and I hope to see you in the next one.
One.
And now, for today's random piece of trivia. Did you know the hit game Ultra Kill that we got here in the West is actually a reskinned pig? The enemies, pigs in the original, were replaced with something more recognizable to us Westerners. The souls of the damned as described by Dante. The music remains unchanged, however. If you like this video, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to PeteGang for more funny videos. And hey, if you want more from me, check out this Tyler the Creator song I uploaded onto YouTube, extended and with lyrics. This shit is gas, Colonel.